right, so we're just gonna jump into this. So Alexia, on our last episode, you basically spoke about it's easy for music to suck now because it's so accessible, right?
Exactly.
So my question to you is this: answer it to the best of your ability. It's not even crazy, but let me ask you this: is music more forgettable these days?
Yes.
Do you want to elaborate on that?
I mean, I feel like it's the spectrum is not so much a gray area anymore. I mean, obviously, that's up to interpretation, and you can be like, but this song, but this artist, and we can argue about this all day. But I think that like there are a very select few number of songs that like stand out or will like be around for a while, as opposed to the songs that are hot for a trend and then they disappear and you forget about them until you're reminded, but it might be 5 to 10 years later. So I don't know. I'm not saying that they're more that way than they used to be back like in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like all of our listeners can argue with me all they want. Like, but I know this song and I know that song. Like, that's cool. But like, I definitely think like the majority of the songs that we listen to are either like 15 seconds of fame trending or like they'll stick around for a little bit, but it still won't really be as long as like the classics, quote unquote.
No, I completely agree with you actually on that.
Oh,
Because
great episode.
yeah, we're done, guys. Take care. No, I agree with you on that because I feel today music feels like it just comes and goes. It feels very manufactured, and I think that's a real problem within the entire music industry. And just so to kind of bring some stats into this, here's some statistics on certain things, especially. So it seems that the average attention span of the average person for a human being now is
Where
is eight
where are you getting this
seconds.
information?
Google. Google sponsor us.
No.
Just shut up. All
Cite your
right.
sources.
So it seems that the average attention span for a human these days is 8 seconds, which is actually shorter than that of a goldfish. And as far as some music consumption stats, here's what it is. It says that 24% of people are likely to skip a song within the first 5 seconds. 28 will skip a song after the first 10 seconds. 35% will skip after 30 seconds, and 49% will skip a song before the song finishes.
But you do know that is heavily social media's fault, especially TikTok. They have designed their content to only push videos that are like 7 seconds or less so that the human attention span, at least in America, cannot hold for more than that because you keep scrolling to the next video.
Yeah,
And
no.
it sounds like obscene and like, maybe a little too obvious or like useless information, but that's legit. Like TikTok is doing that on purpose.
Yeah, what it isn't just TikTok, and I think that is alarming because of that, because the attention span is so short, it feels like there's less care and passion going into the music, and people aren't really digesting the music or albums these days because if the song doesn't get their attention within the first 30 seconds or less, they just skip it. Now it's just a now it's just a product of no, actually, this is what I want to say. Is it a product, though, also of too much music being released or consumers constantly looking for the next thing and instant gratification?
I think it's both. There's a heavy, heavy like weight on this temporary pleasure pause. Like
Wow.
especially the trends that are going around.
Mm-hmm.
Like people or artists will make audio or songs to be featured as TikTok trends where you dance to it for literally 7 seconds or whatever. Or
Yeah.
there's a funny like, line in there. And then the generation keeps it moving. And like that trend will literally last like not even a week and then we're on to the next one.
Yeah, 100%. But I also think it's a double-edged sword because I definitely think it is the music fans or the consumers. They obviously play a role in that. but it's also the music industry because in 2021 there was an average of 35 rap albums being released every month. In
That's a lot.
Yeah, in 2019 it was 24 every month, and in 2016 it was 16 every month.
See? I feel like that completely justifies the last episode's what I was trying to get at like because it's so much easier to acquire. These songs don't have to be good and people are out for this quick buck. So if they're going to make let's say $10,000 on one song, but that was it. It was $10,000 like in 2 months and after that it wouldn't do anything for you. They would still do that. That rather than put out a song that like people sleep on for a couple years, but then after that, not only does it start generating like revenue, it stays generating revenue.
Yeah.
People don't do that anymore.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. But I also think it's also there may be too much music to go through as well for the consumer because there's so many options like you said. It's so easily accessible, but we want to consume as much as possible. But we
But
can't.
that is again more about the attention span.
Yeah, and that's the thing though, right? Because as much as the audience wants to consume and we've been programmed to consume and like get things instantly, there's no way you can fully appreciate or digest it properly because we're
If
so
you're thinking
concerned.
about the next thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. We're looking for the next thing, so we're becoming less patient. And I think the response to that is how artists now are making their music. Like I said in the previous discussion, having 3 verses in a rap song these days is unheard of. The most prominent part of the
Which is a
song,
shame.
yeah, the most prominent part of the song or mainstream records now was the chorus. And going back to those stats, if that chorus isn't in within the first 10 to 30 seconds of the song, it's on to the next. Like they're just skipping it. So now artists are making their songs shorter so they can be more TikTok friendly and benefit also from the Spotify algorithm so they can be featured on these curated playlists. Because if the song gets more streams and if the song is shorter, people will repeat the song because it's so short so they get more streams and they're able to make their revenue that way, the artists.
I feel like based on the chorus though, because obviously I don't know how anyone else lives their lives but me, but I'm a
Crazy.
lyricist, so I
Oh,
love
you got
listening
bars?
to lyrics and stuff. But I've noticed, like, not just a couple like people, like a several people, they don't know the words to these songs these days. They know the chorus very well, but they can't spit the whole thing like I could, which is kind of crazy because I'm like, how could you say you like the song if all you know is the chorus? And their answer is usually some stupid shit like, I like the beat or the vibe, like.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm like, okay, I mean that is fine a couple times, but like if that's how you ingest your entire like musical like genre, that's alarming to me. But to each their own, I guess.
Yeah, no, I agree with you because a lot of music today is trying to get the consumer, like you said, to get with a certain vibe or sound as opposed to actually presenting something new and refreshing. But that also
Yeah,
ties back to the consumer playing their part in it as well because, like the stats, if a song doesn't catch them or have a certain kind of feel, the consumer's going to skip. And because that artist, they're now scared to take less chances to experiment, you know, where you're like stuck with songs sounding the same, which is why I personally think artists like Kanye West, Kendrick Lamar, and Tyler the Creator in the current, modern day music are very important because they help to move the culture forward as far as like the sound. And it's not just on a mainstream level because now a lot of songs, like I was saying, they basically sound the same. Like they just blend together. Like even the lyrics and the flows. Like if you were at a party and a DJ was mixing all these songs, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. You could not distinguish them. Like they all sound the same.
yeah, that's true too.
So but at the same time, fans are also winning, right? Because our demands are being met. We're getting more and more music on a regular basis, but they're also the ones, demanding it. But it's also turning artists and these record labels into like factories because now they're just mass producing the art to keep up with demand, and it's killing the replay value. And because of this, people are not really crafting albums anymore or even trying to create an experience or a body of work. And the album format is basically dying because consumers and artists are more focused on singles. So now artists are basically crafting their albums around a handful of like hits and chasing these songs. So you can't really blame the artist either, because if they notice there's a change in the music landscape and the consumer has different needs now, then they have to adapt in order to remain relevant and actually make some kind of money.
Well, the sad part about that is that's really only hurting the artist. Like the consumer is not like struggling in that regard. What pisses me off though is how even back when Vine was still around, like
Hmm.
specific famous Viners and now famous TikTokers, now they're becoming artists and singers. Like just, because they can sell or people will watch them, and like it's so pathetic to me because like I'm not gonna name any names, but like that like how Vine like stopped existing, right?
Yeah, but I don't know how that ended up happening, but I'm sure you could.
What do you mean? Yeah, no. Which one is it?
Well, I know it stopped existing, but I don't know the reason for it
Oh, you
ceasing
don't know
to
the
exist.
reason.
No.
So Vine and TikTok obviously are not the same at all. It's not like Vine was like, "Oh, we failed, let's start a new one and it'll be the same concept," right?
Hmm.
So TikTok used to be called Musically, and this was way before so Musically and TikTok are the same company. And Musically started off as literally just a lip syncing app. So just like Vine, because Vine was only 6-second videos, but like as creative as you wanted. Musically, I think was longer than that, but only like lip syncing. Like the audios couldn't be your own.
Hmm.
Then they evolved into TikTok, and now you can edit your own audio, upload your own audio, blah, 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 blah. Which is cool because sometimes the content is actually really creative and sometimes it's really not. Anyway, so Vine had like literally like, I don't know exactly how many, let's say 6, like elite members that like had the most followers. Like everyone knew who they were, like, and it didn't matter like where you were, right? They were literally Vine celebrities. They
Oh,
got
they were
famous,
basically leading the pack.
like 1,000%, like way more than that. Like
Wow. Okay.
it, yeah, would have been like any social media platform like Facebook, Instagram. These like 6 or so Viners like were known by everybody. So like how there's YouTubers that are like very like elite and everyone knows them
Yeah.
too. It was like that, but with Vine specifically. So
Oh, so they were like the biggest influencers in that.
yes,
Okay, gotcha.
yeah. So what happened was, I think, let's say my example, because I don't remember exactly how many. There was 6 of them.
Okay.
So let's say out of the 6 Viners, 5 of them told Vine that if you want me to keep creating content, you need to pay me. So they didn't sue Vine, but they all 5 of them were basically like, you need to give us like, I don't know, like $1 billion divided by the 5 of us or something.
Hmm.
And there was like a couple, so I'm going to say one because I don't know exactly how many, but there were a couple Viners that didn't hop on that, and they were like, no, that's wrong. Like, we're here to create content. Like, it's not a get rich quick scheme, blah, 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 right?
Hmm.
So there were a couple of them that didn't want to do that. But most of them that were like Vine celebrities were like, if you don't do this, we're not Vining anymore. And Vine's response was to stop existing because they
Wow.
didn't have ads back then. Like on the Vine was a free app. Like Vine wasn't getting like a bunch of money. So they weren't going to give a bunch of money to these 5 people just because they said so,
Yeah, and
So
Vine was only
now
like 15-second videos, right?
Vine was only 6-second videos.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so that's why TikTok now, they started the 15-second videos, and TikTok has the promotional ads. They have the lives where you can get coins, gift each other, and spend money and blah, blah, blah. So TikTok exploited that idea 1,000% by giving their users, like getting their users paid or whatever. But Vine was like, I'm not doing that, which I commend. But anyway, so Vine stopped existing because they basically refused to pay off these people that were like, you're nothing without me. And Vine was like, we're free. Like, what? Anyway, and then Musically came, it evolved into TikTok, and now there are these TikTokers who are the same. They're like TikTok elites, celebrities based solely on TikTok. Not to get off on a tangent about Vine and TikTok, because this podcast is not about those things. My point is, these people are now getting platforms to be artists, and they're already artists that shouldn't be where they are anyway. So to give them the stage and then these TikTokers the stage, it's like you're taking the stage away from someone who deserves it.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. I mean, because even me, when I had released my first album, and I was looking at strategies to help like market and promote it, um, things that people would do, they would pay YouTubers to review their music or react to it, and then they would also pay people on TikTok to do the same thing. And they will go to like the people who have like the most streams or the most followers on TikToks, and you could pay them to make a little dance to your song. And if it like goes off, then they get a cut, from that. But if not, you just gotta pay them, I think, $100 or $500, depending on how popular this person was. And I think it's kind of fucked up because these people who basically have no talent, like literally all they're doing is making dances to people who actually have talent to this music. Now they're holding them ransom. Like, oh well, I'm not gonna like play your shit unless you pay me something, and it could potentially be
Yeah,
a
didn't
great
you hear
song.
about that song Drake made, like literally based off of like he asked a TikToker to create a dance and he made his chorus around that
Oh
dance.
yeah, what was the name of that song? That was like right step, right, that whole thing. Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember. I was like, wow, this is so like obvious what you're trying to do right now.
Yeah, but I mean Drake has like the money and the rep, so it's crazy that he asked that. I guess maybe to stay like on top of the trends or whatever, but I don't know, like if you're an artist that doesn't need all of that and you do it anyway, you just I don't know, you just kind of look stupid.
But isn't that crazy though? An artist as big as Drake still fell into that trap. Like Drake is arguably the biggest artist right now. Period. I think I just saw a stat the other day. Him alone, he had 160 billion streams,
Damn.
and it's like, and he's still like victim to that.
Well, I don't think he had to. He chose to, but it still doesn't like negate the fact that like that's lame. No offense,
Yeah.
Drake.
No, I agree. And I guess the other point that I want to make on that also, like, because Drake is part of the industry, he signed, whatever, but even behind him, it seems like the industry is not prioritizing the art anymore.
Mm.
They're more prioritizing the marketing. The way music is becoming consumed now is a problem.
Yeah.
Like like take Spotify, the largest music streaming platform. Spotify rewards artists for making marketable, formatted music that fits within the guidelines of being short and to the point. Because if the listener skips your song before the 30-second mark, you don't get paid for the stream. So it's tough for an artist to work around that because then it's like, what kind of creative limitations are we putting on the artist and the music that they can make as opposed to the music that they want to make?
That's true. So it kind of like begs the question, just like, the chicken or the egg, like which came first? What made music like so bad now? Like, was it the artist or the consumer?
I know a lot of people, and I'm guilty of this too. I'm sure all of us are, but
I'm not.
okay, cool.
What are you saying?
Let's see who's
I'm
above
just
the
kidding.
rest of
I know
us.
what you're
Nah.
saying.
But I think me, like as an artist, the point I'm trying to get is like when we listen to an album or an artist for the first time. I know for me, I'm usually looking for the songs that like really catch my attention from the beginning. Oh, I like this beat. Oh, I like the hook. Like it's really catchy. It has a nice melody or whatever. And there may be other songs that I don't really like vibe with as much because I'm looking for something kind of like really bump or like have a certain feel. But I'll notice that for myself, as time goes on, I actually really appreciate the music that doesn't have like the catchy beat or hook per se. It's more like I was saying before, a deep cut on the album because there's substance to it. Like you can tell there's someone putting their passion.
But you're one of the few people that's looking for that.
Somewhat. But it like all right, I'll use the Kendrick Lamar album for example. Um he was gone for like 5 years. And the album he had before that was
Right.
called Damn. And it had a lot of commercial mass appeal songs. So I'm not gonna lie, when I first went into listening Mr. Around the Big Steppers, I went through the whole thing. Of course, there was a part of me that was like, all right, I want to hear what Kendrick has to say because it's been so long and so much has happened. But at the same time, my ear was like tuned to, okay, what songs are going to like really catch me the most? Like I was anticipating maybe a certain sound. So on my first pass, there were certain songs that I liked just because of the sound of it. Like I think Die Hard was one of them. But after the album was done and like Mirror, I went back and was able to actually appreciate it on a deeper level because I was like, okay, he wasn't making an album for me or for the masses or for TikTok. It seemed like this is the music he wanted to make. It felt very therapeutic. And because of that, it helped me to connect to the artist more and appreciate the work behind it.
Which is amazing. Yeah, because a lot of that, like that's happening I feel like with me personally, but with the older R&B and rap songs. Like back then that went over my head, or maybe it was like under the radar, not on the radio, whatever. So those songs now are doing that for me without me looking for them. So the fact that you're looking for these, especially in like Kendrick's album because of his 5-year hiatus, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Not a lot of people are doing that, and it's really a shame.
And I think that basically ties up the whole point where today's music is more forgettable because it's more manufactured and less care and passion is behind it. It's more, okay, structure. Okay, we have to make sure we hit this mark, we hit this. It's a checklist. And it's just like, all right, cool. As long as we meet that, we're done. And that's why I think certain artists kind of rise above that because they won't compromise their artistic integrity. And I think me as an artist, that's what I appreciate about specific artists like that. And I'll even reference Eminem as well. Like his earlier stuff, the stuff he was saying, like was very relatable but very open. Like Eminem was doing things before a lot of other rappers were, in a sense where you never met the guy, but you knew his whole life story. You knew what happened with his wife. You knew what happened with his mom. You knew his kid, his relationship with Dre, the struggle. So it's like, I got to know your life through your music. And it's people like Cole, Kendrick, even Kanye and Nas, other people that you hear. And then you have these other guys that just do these trends. So I guess to really answer the question, yeah, music is more forgettable these days. Because even I find myself listening to older music more than newer music. Like someone actually has to
Yeah.
refer an artist and kind of co-sign it to me for me to actually give it a shot to be like, all right, I'll check them out. Because I'm just like, yeah, I'm stuck in my ways. I'm gonna just listen to the shit I already know is good and this artist. But yeah, I think a lot of the music these days is just more forgettable, and I think we kind of know the reason why, and it sucks because as an artist myself, it kind of puts you in a box that prevents you from experimenting and taking chances and creative liberties.
That you
Yeah,
don't fit in.
like you won't, because
Hmm.
think about it, like for me, if I want to create or work with a certain song, I'm now competing with your attention span, the melody, the hook, and also the stuff. And it's like maybe I really have something prevalent to say, but because you won't pay attention long enough to hear the point, you've tuned out. So now I, for myself, may think, okay, well, maybe what I have to say isn't that important. Let me just follow the mold
Mm.
and just, okay, this is what they want. The boom, and it's just like, okay, cool. Let me just do that. Fucking copy paste on 11 other tracks, and that's it. There's no emotion, no heart. Just like,
Right,
all right,
right.
cool, that's it. But that's why I think for me it's taking me so long because I like to be inspired and I want to always create something that comes from my heart. That's something that is honest and sincere. That, like, with each record, you get a piece of me, even if it's funny or serious or sad. At least you know I'm being honest.
Yeah, I think we both can agree you don't open up in the way that Eminem does as much as he does, but you also are a bit of a perfectionist. So the second album coming out is now 2 years later than what you originally
Shorter than
wanted, but
Detox.
hopefully, hopefully that means that it'll be far more amazing than any of us could have
That's the
imagined.
goal, but I'm also not trying to let that kind of pressure get to me either. Because that expectation could fuck with you also.
Oh, that
no,
wasn't a threat. I was
no,
just
I know,
talking.
but those are one of the things like I wrestle with as well as an artist. But yeah, case in point, I thought what you were saying in our previous discussion was pretty interesting, and it kind of brought this thought up to me. Like, is music more forgettable? Like, it's just more come and go, and that's it. Like, after a week, you forget about it. Like I'm sure for you, there
Hmm.
were certain songs you were only exposed to that were more recent because at the time you were working in the club, so they were playing it and you knew it. But I'm sure even for you, some of those songs all kind of sounded similar to a point where they blended, right?
Yeah, but again, me being me, I'm a lyricist, so I like to
Slim
listen to the
Julio.
lyrics. So I still knew every word to every song that was like
Yeah.
in the club. You know what I mean? But partly because they were played all the time, but also because that was the environment I was in, and some of the songs were good to dance to, not like profound, but like still good. But yeah, I mean, I think I appreciate Tyga's music, but all his shit is literally the same. DaBaby, every single song
Yep.
sounds exactly
Yeah.
the
See.
same. Like, the only thing I do have to say is like, I'm not like a Cardi versus Nicki. Like, I'm not on that
Oh,
whole
you're
thing.
not
I
on
don't
that
care.
wave.
So listeners, yeah, don't come at me. But I'm gonna be real. Like, Cardi B's like commercial stuff does have a lot of similarities to it, but there's a lot of stuff that's not mainstream that I listen to. And lyrically, I think if she writes all her own stuff, she's actually fairly gifted as well, and she's telling her story as well. So she doesn't fall directly into that like box because I've listened to her other stuff. But and I mean, same with Nikki. She doesn't really do that either. She's very good at like having a range of songs without it looking like a circus out here.
No, I understand where you're coming from as far as like Cardi and Nicki. Cardi though, she hasn't released an album in a while though, or any music, right?
I don't look for
Oh,
albums.
okay.
I don't
Well,
know.
because I'm not too familiar with her catalog. There are a couple songs of hers that I like.
I'm not like a Cardi fan where I'm like, what's her next song? Like, what's the last thing she released? Like, as of today, like WAP. Like, I don't know. But Nicki Minaj, I guess, Jace came out with Freaky Girl. What
I
was
don't
it
know.
called?
I don't really follow Nicki that much either.
He can lick it, or I can lick it. I can ride it while he deep up inside it. I can do all of them tricks.
I
Or what
guys,
is it? What did
please do
she
me a
say?
favor. Do not loop that soundbite.
Anyway, but you heard the beat. It was like she's just remixing
MC
like an
Hammer
old
can't
song, and
touch this.
it works, and she's yeah. So and I guess she's doing a good job because everyone on TikTok is now making videos to that. But that, again, that's probably just another you're following the trends that's gonna be TikTok famous, and it's kind of like this. Did you make the song for the TikTok or the TikTok for the song?
Exactly. It's almost like the dog chasing the tail.
Speaking of TikTok, do you guys follow me on TikTok? If not, you should. My name is Asexia. At
Mad sexual
Asexia.
name. What's up with that?
That's just a long story.
As you can see, guys, Alexia is also one of the people that's been brainwashed by TikTok.
Oh, definitely.
She's one of the people that forces people to make certain songs to fit a TikTok video.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I told Chris to make a song for TikTok when actually in reality I tried to make a dance for one of his TikTok songs. I mean, to one of his songs to try to get it to go anywhere on TikTok. It didn't work,
I
but
think it was Dig, right?
yeah, it didn't work very well. But my TikTok is
Yeah.
up and coming, and big things coming, big things popping.
Big things popping, little shit stopping. Shout out to T.I.
Exactly.
All right, well, with that said, guys, we appreciate you guys for tuning in, listening. Give us your thoughts and what do you think? Do you feel the music landscape today is more forgettable, or do you think it's better than it ever was because we're getting so much? Let us know, guys, and,
Follow us on YouTube, Behind the Struggle. Subscribe to our Patreon. Follow us on Instagram.
yeah, that's it, guys, and keep the struggle.